I thought it was at 7.
You were waiting for all the vouchers to be signed.
Yeah.
All right, so, resolution 211, anything special about this request, parking on Home Street, Steve?
That's Ward 9.
Okay,
No. Oh, I'm sorry, but this is also his.
I think it's public safety.
Yeah.
Not finance.
Committee.
Committee, yeah.
Yeah,
but it's your ward.
yeah, because we share it. I'm still teaching piano lessons in my head. So
Yeah, the resolution
All right.
says finance on it.
As long as everybody's cool with that, okay? So the next one, if you've seen the letter that I
Do we need that
emailed you.
change? The top says finance on the resolution itself. It should be public safety, right? Sponsored by.
Yeah.
211, it says, it says,
Somebody give me a copy.
yeah, it says,
finance and audit should be public
Okay.
safety.
Yeah, where you
want the hair, you can take, you want,
was on mine, it says it's public
Sponsored
safety.
by, no,
211?
211.
Oh, I see there, but on the actual committee report.
No, the
it
committee
says-
report is right, yeah, I'm just saying on the, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Eagle eyes, very good, all right.
Actually, Doug pointed it out.
Resolution
I just heard
212,
It's a tie.
I will request to pull this because we don't need it. So as per the letter, I was at a safety forum that was sponsored by the Ulster County Transportation Council, Ulster County Planning Board, Planning Department rather, and we were all surprised to hear the representatives from the New York State Department of Transportation say that municipalities have the authority to reduce speed limits on particular streets to 25 miles an hour, so long as they follow the manual, the code there, and any of the addendums to that for New York State. So this has been recently done in Mamaroneck, New York. They reduced the speed limit on more than 10 streets there, and it's just to reduce the speed limit. So they got permission from the New York State Department of Transportation. I made sure that this was correct, so we went to a second person in New York State Department of Transportation, and she verified that this is correct, that we have the authority to do it if we want to. So we don't need to ask the state for permission. We don't have to go the legislative route, so there's no reason for the legislation.
So what would be the next step then?
If there's a street that anyone thinks should be 25 miles an hour rather than 30 or whatever it is, there's actually a couple that are on. We actually have streets on our code where the speed limit is lower than 30 miles an hour. A couple of them are 15 miles an hour. One or two of them are 25 miles an hour, and they're not next to a hospital.
Do they reflect
They're
that?
not school zones?
They're not school zones.
Are there signs on those streets that
Some are.
Newkirk. Yeah,
Okay.
Newkirk has a sign, it says 25 miles an hour. 2009, it was the Common Council approved 25 mile an hour speed limit on that street. So,
A very tiny street,
How do we,
It is.
how do we find out what streets are already 25?
and it's very
it's
steep.
listed in the code, and I added it to the letter. There's an addendum.
It's in the letter.
Next sheet.
Now, Andrew Street's 25 because it's a school zone. West of Rye is 25 because it's a school zone.
This is your letter.
These are school zones. That's why they're 25.
No, that's a separate schedule.
This is
Here, if you look at this one has the addendum.
Oh, that's the one that's in that third sheet.
Well, I copied it too, but I did it to my PDF. So it's got the second page, it shows the Kingston Code. These are the streets with lower than 30 mile an hour speed limits, and it shows Mamaroneck, New
We don't
York.
have that in this one that was handed out here.
All right, so I'll send this one around to everybody.
Thank you.
This one has a second sheet. For some reason, it didn't come up in the copy that went to.
But only the driver knows 15 minutes, they don't follow it, so.
They don't follow it, but so actually the recommendation from the Complete Streets Council along Colonial Drive was actually to raise
What's
the speed
different
limit.
with, I'm sorry, what's different with this one you're passing around than this?
This one
It
is,
has the second sheet, which has all the streets in Mamaroneck that they reduced to 25 miles an hour. And then it's also got the copy of the Kingston City Code, which shows the schedule
Oh, okay.
for streets that are less than,
Gardens?
yeah,
Yeah.
That's a city street though, and so, anyway, these are things we can talk about later. The point is, there's no need for
you got
this
yours,
legislation
we
that's
don't-
on the docket tonight.
So you only want in that.
So we'll just pull it, whatever the proper
Steve just got his throws around.
procedure is.
So you have to, on the floor, you got
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I got that. Thank you.
All right, that'll save a lot of conversation tonight.
Yes, it will. Get us to supper earlier. All right. Okay, so resolution 213, budgetary transfer in the engineering department.
213,
213, what'd I say?
15, whatever. Okay, 213 it is.
Did he?
Engineering has transferred someone from part-time to full-time, and so it's a transfer of monies from the part-time to regular pay, no financial impact.
All right, everybody okay with that one?
Okay.
We're glad to have that new employee. I think he's doing good work.
Yeah, let's see, number 214, let's see, what is this now? Budget transfer, 30. Oh, charge transfers within DPW to cover various shortfalls. No financial impact, $32,800.
All right. I like to
You
hear.
can see
No-
the
no
list on the
financial
final
impact.
page, the transfers from and
Whatever
the
they want with their
transfers
money,
to.
there's no financial impact.
Okay?
All right, yep, resolution 215.
Which is to attend a conference at Jersey City, Health and Wellness Director, attend 2 educational opportunities, impact of, to transfer like $700, no financial impact.
We satisfied with the answers? Zero impact, right?
Correct.
No impact, right. Okay?
Good.
Moving to 216 is for the grant management to transfer some money from employee training to buy a new computer. And that's one department, you want to have all the tools they need. $1,100, no financial impact. The next one is to authorizing the mayor to execute, see, this is the reconfiguration and rehabilitation of the Broadway, Grand Street, Prince Street, Pine Grove Avenue. Grant amount is $750,000. There is no match requirement. They're in a hurry to get this one passed so that survey work can begin like now, so that can be completed before we get into the winter. So that's why Kristen was so anxious to get this one passed.
What kind of survey?
Civil engineering survey, of the intersection and so forth,
So the survey can get
Civil,
completed?
huh?
So the survey can get completed prior to winter? That's what you're saying? That's why we're pushing it first?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
And then they'll be able to do planning and studies over the winter. That's my understanding, right?
Right.
Because they want to
rather-
have it lined up more with the Broadway streetscape.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Try to do
that's
that all
true.
at the same time. All right, and no financial impact, are we okay with that?
Right,
match.
there's no match,
Well, no match, yeah,
no match.
sorry.
And then trade back 750,000.
But it's coming from the state.
Yeah.
Could be good.
All right, 218, regarding the community development block grant.
I read again, 218, just a typo there, sponsored by the Community Development Committee, not the Finance.
Yeah, and
And-
I have the new sheets for that.
All right, so again, it's just,
Yeah, say, I didn't recognize this.
we had money left over, we had money and that wasn't used in the CDBG grant. And so, police department had a request to get, a good barn, if you want to say, shed where they can store valuable and equipment that they need and data that they need. And so we had money there, so we were able to get that passed. Again, the total cost is $3,900, of which the CDBG grant is going to match, or covered 2,900 of it approximately. So we had some leftover from CDG, and so that is why they requested this amount. We have that there, so we're pushing this to try to get this approved throughout this year.
No financial impact.
No financial impact for the city. Again, it's CDBG money that, again, most of it's going to be covered by the money that we're giving the police department.
Also so that they can build it before winter.
Correct. They will be, well, it's
already
not even
built.
built.
It's already built.
It's already built, but it's
Put
going
it
to sit
down.
it down. And but the sooner they get it, the sooner they can store this equipment, I think, that they need to have in there.
And they're not going to be storing weapons or anything. They assured us that. So.
Bulletproof
then I'm
vest
against
and
it.
things.
Uh-huh.
All right,
So it's going to be on police grounds, but no weapons or anything like that.
anybody got a problem with that?
No.
Use of the money? All good with it? All right. Second reading and vote on local law number 2.
What about,
219,
Yeah,
right?
219.
what about 219?
I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
219 is to authorize funding in the first instance of funding for the construction inspection of Broadway streetscape. Looking to appropriate $335,000, and we have a match on that of $67,060. So the thought is to bond for all this, and then when the funding come in, to repay the bond. Broadway streetscape. First instance expenditures.
Which it says in here, 80% of this is covered by New York State DOT.
Right, right.
Comments?
Good.
Everybody good with that? One little thing. I'm not sure what eligible costs are. Might mean eligible costs.
Ella giggle.
I like eligible, but
It's nice.
Just so you know, just a nice one.
Under the bus.
under the grammar bus.
Yeah.
So I just, are we done with
We got,
this? First instance.
what's the local law 2?
Okay.
What is that one? Oh, adopting the open space plan? Or it's not, are we,
It's
is that?
not, no, it's not the open space plan, it's the,
Sustainable Energy Loan Program.
yeah, the C pace.
Yes.
The C pace, so we just needed to make slight change on the language
Right.
because
so put us back a week,
yeah, it was required
month, I
to do
mean.
so. Just made it a little stronger.
Right, and this is an important move in order to make it easier for Kingston residents to get solar power, solar arrays on their roofs, right?
Yeah, and it's just changing language to match what is required.
Okay, and then local law 1, just the reading, it won't be a vote.
Three?
Sorry, 3, but it's the first reading, right? Okay. Guess we didn't eat lunch today. Sorry.
Just as an aside, that program, it's a good program, and not a lot of people are taking advantage of. And I think Julie alluded to that it's not really probably as well publicized maybe as it could be. But if we spread the word, like with this law passes, just to kind of
Well,
give people a heads up who might be interested.
one thing we might talk about in terms of City Hall budget, because we got the City Hall budget meeting coming up next week, is putting some money to better publicity for these kinds of programs. Like, actually sending flyers out, not just having them in the little thing down at the door down there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, just concurring, because when we changed it, I think 2 years ago, or last year, because we had to do the same exact thing with the same project, and we had asked, like, can we better get this out? And then a year later, we had to change it, and, still, I don't think anybody's really utilizing it the way we should be, and so I just agree that we should talk about how we could advertise some of these great things.
So, yeah, one thing would be at least making emails of them available so we could send them out to constituents or put them on if we have Facebook pages at the very least. And over and above that, if we're walking around, if we're walking the board, we might want to have some of this kind of material so that we can leave it at people's houses so that they're much more aware of it. Because I really think this is a problem of communication. where if we just rely on electronic communication or the newspaper, the word really doesn't get out to lots of people. So,
Or just city hall meetings that most people
Click
don't
and
want to
delete.
go to. I mean,
Delete,
Yes.
delete. I mean, I do all day long.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
all Patrick's fault, that's what he just admitted.
It's not my fault, I'm just saying.
Well, once he,
Aren't you quick to delete?
well, once he gets his multicolored business card, he'll go around handing that out.
No, delete it.
Once you get that multicolored business card, you'll be all right, Pat.
Okay.
Yes.
You can go out and hand out the.
Local law 3 is to accept late filing of seniors for exemption pursuant to real property tax law 467, subdivision 8A, and recommending a negative declaration.
That's the
local
first,
law.
is that a first reading?
That's the first
Yeah.
reading?
Yes,
That's the
every
first reading, okay.
yes. Nobody has a copy of this?
No.
We don't have the two local
Okay,
laws.
I'll make copies.
Okay, all right.
I got a
then-
question.
Yes, sir.
And this 311, I don't know if everybody else is having problems with this. I mean, I've tried it a couple of times. I'm not the biggest electronic in geek, but I did one. I thought it went great. It went well. I did another one. I was at my house. And so, because I was at my house and wanted to get a handicap removed at another location, it's now coming up that the handicap is supposed to be removed from 84 Emmerich Street. And I'm like, I don't have a handicap sign out in front.
All right,
So-
I'll talk to Kyle about it.
And so, yeah, I was trying, like, because I did 205 Down Street, but it still had me. But in the comment section, I see that it says 205 Down Street, so I'm hoping they have that. I'm looking out here for, next month's
Does it have the wrong
communication.
address on
It
it?
says remove handicap sign Emmerich Street, and then remove handicap sign Lucas Avenue. I don't remember doing a Lucas Avenue for all
That's,
the
I was
neighbors.
gonna bring that one up because that's an
Yeah,
address
because
in my ward.
I think
and I
it
don't-
grabs on the address that you're there.
You're
So you have to then, so I'll talk to Kyle, see if
Correct,
there's a.
because I wanted to
No.
do one for 71 North Manor, and that's the one they had at Emmerich Street. Because Bill happened to call me, and I was at home when I did it, so it's got to be.
Sure, I'll talk
All
to
right.
him and see if there's
A lot of people, it must
Thank
be,
you.
those residents are going to get through. All the ones we get, those are coming from the community? Is that what's happening?
We're
Yeah,
getting some from
that's
the
how we-
community too.
That's how we set it up.
Yeah.
so.
It's pretty
I submitted
amazing.
one
people
for 56 Duzin Street, and I got a note back from, I don't remember, it might have been Elise, I don't know, saying that it has to go through legislative body first. I know that.
Right.
But,
Is it on-
so do you all get that message back when you submit one?
I got one from Mary Jo today saying that, that your request has to go through,
All right, I'll
and
talk
has to go
to-
through legislation.
Okay, so maybe,
And I'm
yeah,
like-
that's the one I
So-
got from Mary
Yeah.
Jo.
Yeah, so can I, it's because, sorry, but is this because they get it at this, the way we put Kyle did the buckets? DBW is in Form 2, so I'll talk to Mary Jo and clear that up and say, you're getting it at the same time that we're getting it, so, because we wanted the process to move quickly. So I'll explain, I'll sit down and explain that to Mary Jo, so,
Right.
like, it is going through legislation as well, and they just wait until they get the paper.
Okay.
But it
So
gives
she's
them
thinking
a,
she's-
but when we had set it up, we said we wanted DPW, and Norman wanted to, be in that bucket too, so that's
All
why,
right.
but I'll talk to Mary Jo too.
Okay. So,
Because
yeah,
you all
so-
got that from her?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did today.
And the
All
good,
right, we
good
did-
news is the old-fashioned way works too. I stopped in at John, at the engineer's office, and
That actually
had a
makes
couple at
everything
dinner. He
simpler.
sat there, pulled them right up, okay.
Yeah, that's
All you
why
gotta do
I
is do a
might start-
communication,
I mean,
and he had the wheel going.
I might
so-
just want to call him, or like, John, I need one here. 'cause
Yeah.
I to sit down here and go through this, and then all of a sudden it's like kicking me out and saying Emmerich Street.
Yeah, but this is
Well,
a good
yeah, I
thing.
can
It's just
take
a
this
matter
back
of getting
and
getting
just-
everyone to
We just have
understand
to
it.
iron out kinks we knew.
All right, yeah,
so-
that's.
But I'll talk to Mary Jo too
Okay.
to explain.
So, yeah, we can
Thank you
just
for
find
letting me
communication.
know.
I'll just wait until I hear from that, because I don't want to, I guess I'll have to physically go out in front of 71 North Manor and type it in there. See, I'm at my location.
We'll fix this so you
Just
don't
go
have to
pull
do
them
that.
out of the ground yourself.
But that's the one you called me, I'm on my way to Massachusetts. I can imagine if I was in Massachusetts and I came up, we gotta
So
move
the
on
ones
from
that we
Massachusetts.
submitted this month. will
Oh,
be-
yeah, yeah.
They should be here.
We'll go to
They went
Massachusetts.
to,
There's a lot. There's a lot of communication. That's like, I think last
13.
month piled on top of this month.
Yeah, we got a lot
Oh,
of
wow.
table stuff
Oh,
from last month.
Yeah, suddenly that
Well,
committee's not so easy, is
Oh,
it?
my
No, I'm
God.
talking about
Chair.
handicap.
No,
Accept my
no,
resignation.
just-
Handicap streets.
Too late.
You're already.
Oh, we're gonna have a long meeting this month.
Oh,
if
yeah.
anybody
right.
has any, if anybody sees any problems, just let me know and I'll try.
Well, it would only be though, the meeting, anything that the
They
analysis has
approve.
come back, that's the only thing that we'll talk about, right?
But John has the whole months, because public safety is at the end of the month,
Right.
to get a lot of this done.
So he might have improved some of these.
And some of them, as the Q alerts have gone in, so some of them were weeks ago, you know, he could start moving on the analysis before their communications.
Emerald Street's not gonna see any of that.
So, the problem is we tried to get everything to move it quickly because we needed to, but then sometimes when things move quickly, we realize that there's still some kinks in the procedure, so.
All right, thank you.
But it's still better, I still like that it's on the communication, because then, like you said, then there's enough time to get it, so when his meeting comes up, we'll have it all in place.
Yeah, I think.
Rather than waiting a
once-
month,
once all-
waiting for it to get done and then doing a communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Kingstonian, yeah. Yeah, I know, I got this this is in October. It was in my mailbox just yesterday when I stopped in to pick it up. I don't know why it was so old.
Yeah. We didn't know why we got another copy of this letter from Moriello,
your ward?
Yeah, I don't know.
because it doesn't seem to have any
You gotta
additional
speak up,
material.
Patrick.
Yeah.
What's the date on that?
September 30. We got this letter before.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you talk to Kevin at all today?
Kevin Bryant?
Yeah.
No.
Because I just caught him coming in, and he said that he'd be late to caucus, but he wanted to do some attorney-client stuff. He had some legal stuff for us to make us aware of. But
Yeah.
he said he'd be here by the end of caucus. So, but I just want to give you a heads up so everyone
Well,
wanders out, don't wander too far.
Why don't we adjourn now? And
Okay.
then, I mean, is
I'm
anybody
not
leaving the
sure.
building?
I've seen this.
Oh, there he is.
Oh,
Never
there he
mind.
is.
Just apply it.
Maiden
It's a
Lane.
better job.
Yeah,
There.
we're done. So
Um,
we can still adjourn.
There is something
Do we have-
said about timing.
Do we have a motion to adjourn for the purpose of speaking privately with our attorney?
Yeah, it's the
I know.
Caucus. Yeah, I know what it is.
All in favor?
Stop all the
Aye.
trucks.
Aye.
Huh?
All opposed?